away for 1 o'clock. Keep popping your name in the chat, just so we know who's joining us today. But welcome, as I've said, I can't believe we're in October, but this is our October learning event for North Yorkshire Safeguarding Children Partnership. For those of you who've not met me before, my name's Kat Morrison. I'm one of the Policy and Development Officers, but I'm going to be handing over to Sally, who will introduce herself in a minute for the vast majority of the session. Today we're going to be looking at the Disabled Children's Team Pathway. It's going to be a really interesting session. I can't wait for this one. So there's a few more of you coming in, which is lovely. If you are just coming in, please just pop your name and where you're joining us from in the chat. Thank you. So just a little bit of housekeeping for you. As I've already mentioned, we do record these sessions just because then we will be able to provide a YouTube link and you can share it with your teams, or you can go back and watch it. So just for that, if I ask that you keep your microphones on mute unless you're talking or asking a question, and cameras off unless you feel particularly comfortable with being on the recording. I'm not quite technologically au fait with cutting people off, but I can get the recording edited down. Please do use the chat. I'm sure Sally will say, but we do want this to be as interactive a session as possible. So if you aren't sure about anything, please do use the chat, and Sally and I will be watching that as well. As I've already said, the session will be recorded. We will make that available to you on YouTube, which normally takes us a few days. We'll probably have it on early next week in terms of a YouTube link. You will be sent a copy of the slides via a PDF document as well, so please don't worry about having to take notes or anything as we're talking. What you are usually asked for from NYSCP, which is where you've booked, is you'll be asked to fill in a feedback form after your session. Please share feedback however you want with that. It's always helpful for us to kind of hear things so we can kind of develop moving forwards. And then once that feedback's been completed, you'll receive your certificate of attendance. Okay, well with that, I'm going to hand over to Sally. So Sally, over to you. I will keep an eye on everything from the chat and things like that, but yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Lovely, thanks very much, Kat. So my name is Sally Marchant. My official title is that I'm a Policy Practice and Development Officer in the Quality Assurance Team for North Yorkshire. What that means in reality is I do some quality assurance work, but the primary focus of my role is around children with disabilities and developing a pathway of support for families right across the Children and Families Service. So my previous experiences that I have worked for the Disabled Children's team, I think about 20 years in total I've been working with children with SEND and their families, so I do have quite a bit of background in terms of this work. So today's session really is to explain a little bit more about how social care receive referrals for children with disabilities, the pathway of support, and how we make decisions about who will provide support and why. So it's just an opportunity really to develop your knowledge and understanding around social care support for disabled children. The presentation is an audio presentation. It lasts about 30 minutes, so please sit back, watch the presentation, get a brew. If there's any questions as we go through, please pop them in the chat, and we'll also do a bit of a Q&A at the end if people want to talk anything through. So I think that's everything, unless anyone's got any questions before we start. Oh, I think Rachel's got a question. I thought there was going to be Voice of the Child Toolkit, which I signed up for.
Rachel, apologies, this got changed a couple of months ago. There was an email from NYSCP to say that it has been swapped. We've moved Voice of the Child to November. So apologies for that. You're more than welcome to stay. If you want to stay, I think it'd be an amazing session. If not, we can look and join us for the November session.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, Rachel. Right, so do we want to go ahead and press play, Kat, on the presentation?
Today I will be providing an overview on how North Yorkshire's Children and Family Service is working to strengthen its offer of support to children with disabilities and their families. I will be sharing the referral pathway for children with disabilities and their families, explaining what happens once a referral is received, and introducing the new assessment toolkit currently being trialled across the Children and Families Service.
Sorry, Sally, that was me.
In order to understand the current offer of support for children with disabilities and their families in North Yorkshire, it's helpful to look at how our Children and Families Service is structured and the roles of the different teams within it. So let's start with Early Help. Early Help works with families at the earliest opportunity, helping them to build on their strengths, find solutions, and access support quickly so children can thrive at home, in school, and in their communities. We then have the Family Assessment and Support team. This is a social work team that provides more targeted support. They carry out assessments to understand what's working well and what challenges families are facing and help them coordinate services around the child. We then have the Disabled Children's team. This supports children with the most complex needs related to their disability. Like other social work teams, they carry out assessments, planning and support, but with a specialist focus. To be eligible, a child must have a disability that has a substantial and long-term impact on their daily life and significant difficulties in having their needs met through family, community or early help support. We also have the Child Permanence and Family Reunification team. This team works with children who can't live with their birth families or are returning home after being in care. Their focus is on finding safe, stable and lasting solutions, whether through reunification with their birth family, kinship care, fostering or adoption. Children and Family Service carried out a review of support offered to disabled children and their families several years ago. As part of that work, we worked with North Yorkshire's Parent Carer Forum, Parent Carer Voice, a group that represents families of children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities. The feedback we receive from parent carers has shaped how we are working to develop services and support. They told us that they want practitioners who understand disability legislation, but also understand the real-life impact that disability has on everyday life. They asked to be seen through a disability lens, not just a safeguarding lens. Families said that they value workers who know what support is available and can guide them to the right help. For them, it matters less which team provides the support. What matters is getting the right help at the right time. Some families didn't realise that they could access support outside of the Disabled Children's team and felt that the name of the team was misleading. Others shared that they needed longer-term support, not just short-term interventions. We also heard concerns about language used in assessments and how child in need support can sometimes feel intrusive, especially when safeguarding isn't the issue. While families recognise the importance of specialist support, they also called for a stronger offer for those who don't meet the criteria for Disabled Children's team. This feedback has helped us to think carefully about how we structure services, how we communicate with families, and how we make sure that support is accessible and respectful of each family's unique circumstances. The messages.
Sally, are you all right to just let people in from the lobby, please? Because if I try to let people in, it's messing with the presentation.
In order, as we strengthen our
Which slide are we on? Sorry, Sally.
Sorry, if you go back one, I think we're on the previous. No, we've done that one. That one.
This one. Apology. Sorry, everybody. If Sally, if it's because when I'm looking
people
at
in, yeah,
presentation,
sorry, I didn't realise it. Do that.
The messages we've heard from families in North Yorkshire are also echoed in wider research. Families have shared that social care can sometimes feel more focused on risk than support, and that the system can be difficult to navigate when seeking help. Recent work, including the Law Commission Review for Disabled Children, highlights the need to move towards a more holistic, co-produced assessment led by practitioners with relevant expertise and tailored to the unique needs of each child and family. The assessment toolkit we're introducing today is designed to support that shift. It helps practitioners focus on what support children and families actually need, collaborative working across the service, and valuing the lived experience of families. Our aim is to create a more compassionate, strength-based and inclusive approach to assessment and support. In order to understand the current offer of support for children with disabilities and their families in North Yorkshire, it's helpful to look at how our Children and Families Service is structured and the roles of the different teams within it. So let's start with Early Help.
Backwards, I think.
Early Help works with families at the earliest opportunity.
Is that the right slide?
As we strengthen our offer of support to disabled children and their families, we must also remember that safeguarding and support are closely linked. Research and safeguarding reviews consistently show that children with disabilities are at greater risk of abuse, not because of their disability, but due to systemic barriers like limited support around their communications, others' values and assumptions, social isolation, and reliance on others for support. These reviews also highlight that disclosures of abuse are often missed or misunderstood, and often changes in behaviours are frequently misattributed to a child's diagnosis. That's why we must be attuned to changes in behaviour, especially for children who can't easily express their views. Professional curiosity is key. We need to be asking, what might this behaviour be telling us, alongside what support does this child or family need? The assessment toolkit that I will introduce later supports this approach by helping practitioners take a holistic, strength-based view that keeps the voice of the child central whilst remaining sensitive to any safeguarding concerns. Supporting children with disabilities is a shared responsibility across our Children and Families Service. Whilst we do have a dedicated disabled children's team, it is important to shift the perception that all disabled children are automatically supported within this team. This assumption can unintentionally delay support or create barriers to access. Children with disabilities have a wide range of needs, and support should be based on their individual circumstances, not solely on their diagnosis. While those with the most complex needs may be supported by disabled children, many disabled children are supported across other teams, including the Family Assessment and Support Team, Childcare and Permanence Team, and the Early Help Team. We are working with all these teams across the service to build a shared understanding of disability and to ensure that practitioners feel confident and equipped to support disabled children and their families. This means recognising that disability-informed practice is everyone's responsibility, not just the role of one specialist team. Before we look at how to make a referral for a child with a disability and their family, it's important to be clear about what we mean by disability and who this includes and how it is defined in law. Under Section 17 of the Children Act 1989, a child is considered disabled if they are blind, deaf or dumb, suffer from a mental disorder of any kind, or are substantially and permanently handicapped by illness, injury or congenital deformity. Now, I want to acknowledge that the language used in this legislation is outdated and doesn't reflect how we speak about disability today. However, the definition itself is still legally valid and used in statutory guidance. Importantly, it is a broad definition. It includes a wide range of physical and mental impairments and is not limited to children with a formal diagnosis. A child doesn't need a medical label to be assessed by social care. What matters is how their condition or circumstances affect their ability to engage in everyday activities, relationships and experiences. This inclusive approach allows us to focus on what the child and family actually need, rather than waiting for a diagnosis that may take time or may not fully reflect their lived experience. So when we talk about disabled children in the context of assessment and support, we are referring to a wide and diverse group. Where you are working with a child with a disability and their family, and you feel there's a need for an assessment to understand what support might be needed, the slide outlines the various ways that you can make a referral. When a family or professional makes a referral to Children's Services in North Yorkshire, it is first reviewed by the Multi-Agency Screening Team, or MAST. We've been working closely with MAST to develop guidance that supports consistent decision making when a referral involving a child with a disability is received. MAST will gather further information and speak with the family to understand the child's needs and strengths, what support is being asked for, and what networks or resources are already in place. Based on this information, MAST may take one of several actions. They may signpost to universal services, refer to community-based support, or offer an early help assessment. This early help approach allows practitioners to work with families to identify and access support that is proportionate and tailored to their needs, without immediately stepping into statutory social work involvement. However, we are also clear that where a Section 17 Child in Need assessment is requested, or where the child's circumstances indicate that one is required, we will carry out this statutory duty. Children with disabilities are legally entitled to a Section 17 assessment under the Children Act 1989, and importantly, they do not need to meet the usual thresholds to access this support. These assessments are completed by a statutory social work team, and where a parent or carer appears to have support needs or requests an assessment, a parent-carer assessment must also be offered, again, by the statutory social work team. So where a referral for a child with disabilities is accepted and there is a need for a child and family assessment or a parent-carers assessment, a decision is made about which team will carry out the assessment. This could be the disabled children's team or the family assessment and support team, depending on the child's level of need. To support this decision, the multi-agency screening team uses the Strengths and Needs Summary Framework. This is a simplified version of the broader areas of need that we will explore later in the toolkit. It helps MAST to consider the complexity of the child's needs in relation to their disability. Children with high or specialist needs will be assessed by the disabled children's team. Children who need up to regular levels of support will be assessed by the family assessment and support team. Using this framework ensures that assessments are allocated to the most appropriate team from the outset. This helps avoid unnecessary transitions between services later on and ensures that families receive the right support from the right team based on their individual circumstances. This brings me on to the assessment toolkit. So we're working to ensure that all teams across the Children and Family Service are equipped to carry out detailed disability-informed assessments using a single consistent toolkit. It's been developed with and for practitioners across early help, family assessment and support, child permanence and family reunification, and the disabled children's team. The toolkit supports practitioners from the earliest point of contact, enabling everyone, regardless of team, to complete a robust, holistic assessment that reflects the child and family's lived experience. This helps build a shared understanding of needs and ensures support is proportionate, responsive, and tailored to the individual child and family. Professionals working with families may sometimes feel that a statutory assessment is required, and in some cases that may be appropriate. However, the toolkit offers reassurance that a thorough disability-informed assessment can be completed within any part of the service. Early help teams are equipped to explore concerns in depth, understanding the needs of the child and their family, and referring to statutory services where necessary, based on a clear and comprehensive assessment. This approach promotes early collaboration, reduces duplication, and helps identify where support is needed and who is best placed to provide it. It also ensures children are supported in the right team, using a shared language and consistent framework. Statutory assessments will still be carried out by the appropriate social work team, but the toolkit ensures strong disability-informed practice across all parts of the service. The toolkit offers reassurance that families will be assessed in a way that recognises the impact of a child's disability on daily life and development, while also recognising their strengths and abilities. The assessment is centred on the child's voice in decision making. The assessment ensures that the strengths and needs of parent carers is understood and acknowledged. It understands the lived experience of the whole family. It works to encourage building sustainable support networks, and it helps clarify what support is needed, including short breaks where appropriate. The assessment ensures that we are balancing the needs of the child with the well-being of the whole family, and it ensures support is allocated from the most appropriate team from the outset. So on the previous slide, I mentioned that the assessment toolkit helps practitioners to consider whether there is a need for a short break. So what do we mean by short breaks? So short breaks are opportunities for children and young people with disabilities to take part in enjoyable activities, try new things and spend time away from their main carers in a safe and supportive environment. These breaks are not just about giving families a rest, although that can be important. They're about making sure children have the same chances as others to have fun, make friends and develop their independence. For many non-disabled children, these kinds of experiences happen naturally. They might go to an after-school club, join a sports team, visit friends or have sleepovers. These activities help them build confidence and learn new skills as they grow. Some children with additional needs may sometimes face extra barriers to accessing these opportunities. The type of support needed will vary for each individual child. Some children may be able to join in with universal services like mainstream clubs or activities if a few reasonable adjustments are made or perhaps a bit of extra support is provided. In some cases, support from family members or the wider network could help a child access activities in the community. Other children may benefit from services that have been developed specifically for children with additional needs, where staff and environments are better equipped to provide the right support. Some children may require one-to-one support to participate safely and fully. And for some children, a highly specialist environment adapted to meet their complex needs may be necessary. So how does the assessment toolkit help? The assessment toolkit is used to explore each child's individual needs, strengths and interests, as well as any challenges or barriers they may face. It helps practitioners, families and children themselves to think about what support or changes might be needed so that short breaks are meaningful and accessible. This approach is based on the social model of disability, which means that the focus is on identifying and removing barriers in the child's environment. By understanding each child's unique situation, the assessment helps ensure that the right support is in place so that all children have the opportunity to enjoy new experiences, develop independence and have fun just like their peers. In North Yorkshire, our work with children and families is guided by the Strength in Relationships practice model. This model places relationships at the heart of practice, recognising that meaningful, respectful connections are key to sustainable change. We work with families, focusing on their strengths, listening to the child's voice and supporting families to build their own solutions. Our approach blends tools like signs of safety, systemic practice and restorative methods, all aimed at creating conditions where relationships can flourish. One element of our Strength in Relationship practice model is helping families to strengthen their own support networks. This is especially important when working with children with disabilities, where their families may face additional challenges, such as complex care needs, stigma or emotional strain, that can sometimes make it harder to build and maintain connections. To support this, we use a range of family seeing tools, including the family tree with culture. These tools help us and the family to visualise who is in their life, what support is available, and where there might be gaps. They also allow us to explore family values, cultural beliefs, and attitudes towards disability and help seeking, which can be key to understanding how support is viewed and accessed. Using these tools, we can start meaningful conversations with families, helping them to reflect on their relationships, identify strengths, and consider who might be available to offer practical or emotional support. We also use them to facilitate early network meetings, where families can explore potential sources of help in a safe and supported way. Importantly, we don't just focus on support for the child with a disability. We recognise that parents and siblings also need emotional and practical support, and that extended family and friends can play a vital role, whether that's helping with transport, meals, childcare, or simply being there to listen. By using these tools thoughtfully, we help families build trust, confidence, and a stronger sense of connection, so that they feel more able to ask for and accept help when they need it. As part of strengthening the network, we also offer contingency planning, an essential part of building resilience for families with children with disabilities. Contingency planning means thinking ahead and preparing for situations where usual support may be disrupted, such as illness, emergencies, or changes in care arrangements. Practitioners are encouraged to explore this sensitively with families, helping them to identify who could step in if needed, clarify what the child requires day to day, and ensure continuity of care and emotional security, and reduce stress and uncertainty during unexpected events. These plans are developed collaboratively with families, recognising that they are vital in helping them feel safe, supported and prepared. We recognise that children with disabilities are supported by a wide range of professionals across health, education, social care and the wider community. Each plays a vital role in meeting the child's holistic needs. However, the presence of multiple professionals can sometimes lead to fragmented planning and place additional pressure on families. The assessment toolkit supports practitioners to take a whole system view of the child's world. It encourages them to build a clear and accurate picture of all the professionals and services involved around the child, to contact key professionals early in the assessment process, to work towards a shared understanding of the child's needs and circumstances, and ensure that planning is coordinated, purposeful and inclusive. Through this approach, we aim to develop a deeper understanding of the whole child, their strengths, needs and lived experience, so we can identify where support is needed and who is best placed to provide it. This may include services beyond social care and requires a joined-up response across agencies. Working together earlier in the process helps reduce duplication, improves communication and supports families in navigating complex systems with greater confidence and clarity. This section of the toolkit is designed to help practitioners gain a holistic view of each child, their disability and how it impacts on their daily life. Central to this is recognising their unique strengths, achievements and areas where each child is thriving, insights that parents and carers are often best placed to share. The focus is on understanding the child as an individual, not just through the lens of their diagnosis. As the saying goes, when you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. Every child's experience of disability is unique, and parent carers bring invaluable knowledge about what matters most to their child. This section is built around the principle that we want every child to be happy, enjoying life, safe, achieving and taking part. By asking what might life look like for a non-disabled child of similar age, practitioners and families can work together to identify where barriers may exist for the child. This approach draws on the social model of disability, focusing on the external factors that limit participation, not the disability itself. This section encourages everyone to think aspirationally and explore how we can enable opportunities for disabled children to thrive. This part of the toolkit offers questions and conversation prompts to help practitioners and families explore and understand each of the child's individual needs and strengths across different areas of their lives. Practitioners and families are invited to make a shared judgment about whether each need is met, partially met, or unmet. This is an important part of the process. A child may have significant needs, but those needs could be well met through a strong, sustainable network of support, whether from family, friends, community or professionals. Parent carers are often best placed to describe what support looks like in practice and what is working well. To support this reflection, the toolkit includes a scaling question that helps practitioners and parents, carers consider how well each need is being met. This is not about scaling the disability itself, but rather the quality, sustainability and effectiveness of the support that sits around the child. There may be differences in perception between practitioners and families, and that's okay. These differences can open up meaningful conversations about experiences, expectations, and what support might look like moving forward. The aim is to work together, valuing both professional and lived experience to ensure that the best possible outcomes for each child. For each area of support, the toolkit then offers a range of suggestions for support, spanning from informal, community and universal services to more formal services. These ideas are designed to help families and practitioners work together to co-create solutions that are realistic, inclusive and tailored to each child's individual circumstances. The aim is not to prescribe a one-size-fits-all answer, but to spark conversation about what might work best for your child and family. Support could come from many places: family, friends, community groups or specialist services. By sharing ideas and experiences, families and practitioners can find creative, practical ways to help children to thrive. At the end of each area or domain, the practitioner and parent carer work together to reflect on what level of support would be needed for the child to achieve their wellbeing goals or outcomes. As shown on the previous slides, at the end of each domain in the toolkit, you'll be invited to consider the level of support a child needs to meet outcomes in that particular area. The levels of support range from no support, additional support, regular support, high support, or specialist support. This step is really important. It helps guide professional judgment later in the assessment, particularly when they are thinking about which team is the right team to provide support. For example, if a child has a range of high or specialist unmet needs across multiple domains, this would indicate that they are likely to need more specialist services. In these cases, it's likely that the disabled children's team would be the most appropriate team to provide ongoing support. This structured approach ensures that decisions are based on a clear understanding of the child's needs, not just in one area but across their whole lived experience. By involving parents and carers in these discussions, we make sure that support is shaped by those who know the child best and that decisions are transparent and collaborative. This section of the toolkit mirrors the format used in the child's developmental needs section, supporting the identification of both strengths and areas where parent carers may benefit from additional support. A scaling question is included to encourage open and honest conversations about what is working well and where challenges may exist. Assessments of parent carer strengths and needs may be undertaken by the Early Help Service to ensure a holistic approach. However, as discussed earlier, where a statutory parent care assessment has been specifically requested, this will be completed by a statutory social work team. The statutory assessment should be carried out alongside the child and family's assessment and inform its outcomes. The toolkit is designed to align with the statutory parent care assessment questions. This ensures that information gathered through the toolkit can contribute to the parent care assessment, helping to reduce duplication and ensuring that the parent carer voice remains central. This slide offers an example of the physical well-being section of the parent carer's needs. And this slide offers an example of the type of support that might be offered to meet any unmet parent carer needs. The assessment toolkit is also designed to ensure that practitioners look at the whole family, not just the child with the additional needs. When supporting disabled children and their families, it's essential to consider the experiences and needs of the sibling as well. Siblings often play a unique and sometimes challenging role within the family. They may witness confusing or distressing behaviours, take on caring responsibilities, or offer emotional support to their brother or sister. At times, siblings can feel isolated, worried, or overlooked, as attention and resources are focused on the child with additional needs. Practitioners should remember that siblings who provide care are legally entitled to a Young Carers Assessment under the Children and Families Act 2014. If a sibling has support needs, or if their parent carer requests it, a Section 17 assessment should be offered. In some cases, siblings may meet the threshold for child in need support in their own right. Support for siblings can take many forms, such as access to young carers groups, peer support, and opportunities for respite and activities. It's also important to recognise that support provided to the disabled child, such as a short break, can benefit siblings by giving parents more time to spend with them. Above all, planning and assessment should consider the whole family, ensuring that sibling voices are heard and their needs are recognised and supported. The Strengths and Needs Framework is a structured approach that helps practitioners bring together all the information gathered during the assessment. By mapping out both strengths and unmet needs, it enables families and practitioners to work together to target support where it is needed the most. Not all needs can be met by Children and Family Service alone. For example, some needs, such as those relating to health or education, may require input from other agencies. The framework ensures a holistic view so that support is coordinated and no area is overlooked. This process also guides practitioners in deciding which team is best placed to provide ongoing support. The framework informs what we call step-across discussions, where after completing an assessment, a practitioner may recommend that another team, such as the Family Assessment and Support Team, the Disabled Children's Team, Child Permanence Family Reunification, or the Early Help Team, is better suited to meet the child's needs. Once we have developed a clear picture of the child and family strengths, as well as any areas of unmet need or challenge, the next step is to consider what support can be offered to help meet the identified outcomes. The process begins by bringing together the child, their family, and their wider support network to co-create a plan. This group works together to build a clear picture of the child and family's strengths, as well as any areas where needs are unmet or challenges exist. Support planning follows a graded approach. First, the family's own strengths and existing support networks are considered. Next, a range of informal and community-based options are explored, such as signposting to advice and guidance, accessing online resources, support or grants from charities or community groups, and voluntary support. If further support is needed, specific early help interventions may be considered, which could include regular support worker visits, parenting groups, or help accessing local activities. Only after these options have been explored are more specialist or statutory services considered. So one outcome from the assessment may be that the family and the network have got together and have co-created their plan. They're going to continue that family plan and do not require any ongoing agency-led support. Further outcome may be that an agency-led family plan with early help, support and intervention is required. If the outcome of the assessment is that a child's needs can't be met through family, community, universal or early help services, the local authority has a statutory responsibility to provide support. Statutory support means services that the local authority is legally required to provide, and these are funded by the local authority. So how is statutory support provided? Statutory support can only be arranged and delivered through a social work team. The specific team will depend on the child's needs. It will be the family assessment and support team, where the toolkit has highlighted that the child has regular needs around their disability. It will be the disabled children's team, for children with high or specialist needs across multiple areas. What can statutory support include? The support provided is always linked to the assessment of need and may include direct support for the child to access short breaks or activities, support in the home or community to help with daily routines or participation, help to access leisure opportunities or develop independent skills, or overnight breaks for children who need them. For children with more complex needs, access to specialist services such as the Children's Resource Centres may be available, which offer adapted environments and specialist staff. To conclude, let's look at how we are strengthening support for children with disabilities and their families across the Children and Families Service. We have clarified how referrals are screened and how decisions are made about which team will provide assessments and support. While the disabled children team plays a key role, it's important to reinforce that the disabled children are the responsibility of all teams across the service. Support is not limited to one pathway, and decisions are made based on the child's needs, not just their diagnosis. We've introduced the new assessment toolkit, which is currently being trialled across teams. This offers a single, needs-based approach that considers both strengths and needs and helps us see children and families through a disability-informed lens. Professionals working with families may sometimes feel that a statutory assessment is required, and in some cases this will be the case. However, the toolkit provides reassurance that a thorough, holistic assessment can be completed within any part of the service. We are supporting early help teams to complete thorough assessments, to understand the needs of the child and family, and to understand when to refer to statutory services where necessary. This approach helps us work collaboratively with families to understand what support is truly needed and ensures that every child receives the right support at the right time from the right team. Central to this is our relationship-based practice model, which guides how we work with families. It places emphasis on building trust, understanding lived experience, and supporting families to identify and strengthen their own network of support and connection. This not only promotes resilience, but also helps families feel more confident in accessing help. And finally, none of this can be achieved in isolation. Multi-agency working is essential. By working together around the child and family, we can provide coordinated, consistent support that reflects a shared understanding of the child's needs and strengths. This joined-up approach is key to delivering the best outcomes for disabled children and their families.
So
Thank
that
you
draws
very
us
much
to
for
the...
that, Sally.
That's
Go
all
on,
right.
Sally.
No, I was just going to say that draws us to the end of the presentation. I have been looking at the chat, Cat, and I think a lot of them are about being on the wrong course, actually, being on the thinking they're on the Child's Voice toolkit, but I've tried to respond to some of them.
Natalie's
Natalie,
put in about slide 29, mentioned short breaks. I'll send you a PDF of the slides, Natalie, so you'll get them and you can have a read through properly. But Sally, do you want to just elaborate on that one?
so I don't know if you're there, Natalie. Nice to hear from you. So basically, the short breaks grant at the moment is under review, and North Yorkshire are looking at that as to whether it continues in its current form or whether it might look a little bit different. So currently, you can't access that unassessed short break grant, but they are looking at other options. If there is a need for a short break, then it would come through the assessment. So you would make a referral to the contact centre, and it would be screened, and that assessment would be done by one of the relevant teams. Does that answer your question, Natalie?
Yeah, it's okay. Any further questions for Sally? If you're pondering on anything, please do pop your hand up or pop something in the chat. I'm just going to do a couple of business unit updates while we are just wrapping up to get you away for 1 o'clock. As always, we will always stop the recording at the end of the session. So if you do feel that there's something you want to ask at the end of the session, Sally and I will stick around for an extra few minutes. So just to give you a very quick overview for some business unit updates. So literally hot off the press, this was put on our website last night, is our new annual report. So as a Safeguarding Children Partnership, we have to produce an annual report every year. And it basically highlights all of our safeguarding arrangements, how we work together. We look at some of the achievements of the partnership. Please bear in mind when we talk about the partnership, we're not talking about me and the business unit team. We're talking about everybody who works together. So effectively it's all of you guys, it's all of us, everyone who works as a safeguarding partner. So we really kind of celebrate those achievements as well. We look at what we want our priorities are, what we want our focus to be over the coming year, and we kind of have a little bit of a review and a reflection on our training, our learning, our audits, everything that we've done over the last 12 months. It really reflects the collective efforts and the achievements and ongoing challenges we all face in safeguarding children and young people in North Yorkshire. So if you want to have a look at kind of what we do and kind of how we kind of amalgamate all that into the report, please have a look. You can scan the QR or follow the link, which you will get in your PDF at the end. Just with regards to training, I can only apologise because I know there's been a few people who thought that they were going to be on the Voice of the Child training today. Like I say, we did make the switch a couple of months ago. So whether something's landed in inboxes from NYS and got dismissed or landed in junk, I'm really sorry. All I will say is that if you aren't booked on for the November course, I know there was a couple of people saying, can you confirm I'm booked on to the Voice of the Child session? I can't book you on. So if you go onto NYS and search for our NYSCP learning events, you can book onto the November one, which is the 5th of November, which will be the Voice of the Child toolkit. So that will be me delivering that because that's been my project that I've been working on. So we will deliver that one. And then on the 3rd of December, we will have a really interesting learning event looking at sharing intelligence and the value of that and how important it is. And we will go through some of the logistics of how you do it, what it looks like when you do it. So that will be a really practical session. I've included on there, obviously, what we've done historically over the last couple of months, just so you can see that we do have the recordings for those and they are sat on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and have a look. The only thing I will say is our counter-terrorism local profile is never recorded, just for kind of security reasons. That doesn't sit on a public platform, but we do hold those every year. So we will normally hold one probably in June of 26, where we have Ben Halliwell who gives us our counter-terrorism update. On the right hand side is a new document, and again I'll make sure you've got the links for this when I send out the PDF. We've done like a little handy training and learning guide which just kind of amalgamates everything that we offer in terms of multi-agency training, and it's a really nice one. You can print it out, you can stick it on your staff notice boards. It's covered in QRs, which we know are a lot easier, so people can just scan them off their phone. It'll take you to things like the NYS link, it'll take you to our basic safeguarding training, it'll take you to the YouTube channel, so there's some really good stuff on there. So that's a nice one that you can access and print out. The other thing we've got on here, there's a couple of links that you'll be able to get on the PDF, is we've got another nice new kind of poster which is an overview of the partnership and what we do. So it kind of links you into how to get the bulletin, what our strategies are, what our main priorities are around being young in North Yorkshire. That's an electronic guide, so it's one that you can kind of, again, you can even have it on your wallpaper on your laptop, or you can have it saved as a document, but all the links on there you can kind of click and it'll take you to the relevant documents. If you are new to our website, there is reams and reams of information on our partnership website, and what we've done is there is a very short YouTube walkthrough. That's me talking to you for 10 minutes, but I just guide you through the website, where to find things, where we store things, just so it's easier for you to navigate. So that's another resource for you. There are a few people I recognise on this course already who do attend our practitioner forum, but it's always, for me, the more the merrier. So our practitioner forum is an opportunity for frontline practitioners from right across the safeguarding partnership. We've got education there, we've got health partners, we have police, children's family service, and it's an opportunity to come together really informally. We kind of meet roughly every half term over Teams, and it's all about kind of sharing good practice, linking in with the work that we do as a partnership business unit, and giving you the opportunity to kind of hear from us, and us the opportunity, more importantly, to hear from you around what's happening in the world of frontline practice. Hopefully anyone who does come, I always like to say that what is said in those meetings from frontline practitioners is listened to and acted upon, and we definitely make some changes based on what we hear from our frontline practitioners. Finally, as always, our key links. So just a couple of points of note. We have our partnership e-bulletin. Hopefully you're all signed up to that. But what we've also made available now is our multi-agency child exploitation bulletin. So this was previously just only available to partners who attended our secure multi-agency child exploitation meetings, but we've now made this an open platform bulletin, so we've got loads of information there around child exploitation, emerging themes and trends. So if you are interested and want to have that in your inbox, it will land on the 1st of every month. Pop your say yes in the chat, and